looking for a life of chaos and misery? How about constant exasperation and dysfunctional relationships? If so, here's a good action plan. Start living your life based on your emotions. Prioritize your subjective desires over objective realities. Motivations and intentions over actual outcomes. Pay heed to the lessons of Hollywood as you search for moral clarity and practical life strategies. Most especially, don't forget to take the advice of Obi-Wan Kenobi to trust your feelings. Honestly, it hurts me a little to jest like that because I grew up with Star Wars and I love Obi-Wan Kenobi. But seriously, trust your feelings as a life strategy is pretty bad f***ing advice. Don't get me wrong, feelings can be wonderful. In many ways, they make life worth living. Anyone who's ever shared a passionate kiss knows that. But when it comes to being reliable, consistent, and trustworthy counselors, feelings suck. And that's bad news, considering that long before most of us are even capable of a critical thought, our open little minds are pumped chock full of feel-good fluffin' stuff, as if it's gospel truth. From songs to movies to TV shows, American kids in particular are weaned on a steady diet of ego-affirming axioms. You can do anything if you just believe, because if it's what you believe, then it's true for you. Talk about sugar-coated recipes for failure and despair. Yet for many, precepts like these are ingrained so deeply in youth that, later in life, logic becomes almost impossible. After all, how can one embrace logic when feelings matter most, and facts themselves are perceived as personal affronts? In order to avoid the cruel dictates of nature, which doesn't give a damn about their feelings, tender souls are forced to weave ever more fanciful narratives to insulate their echo chambers and bolster their own fragile identities. To be perfectly candid as guys go, I'm highly emotional. Indeed, I place a tremendous amount of value on feelings. I believe emotions serve indispensable functions for individuals and society as a whole, perhaps the most important being the ability to stir a slumbering conscience. The truth is, it's because I place such a high value upon feelings that it seems to me a worthwhile goal to preclude unnecessary grief whenever possible. But here we encounter a paradox. Like it says in the song, sometimes you've got to be cruel to be kind. Because the best way to be a friend to feelings on the road trip of life is actually to remove them from the driver's seat. When it comes time to make important decisions, one must embrace objective realities. Set aside what you want to be true and do your best to identify and then adapt to what is actually true. In short, stick your feelings in the back seat and think. Now, it's a common misconception that anyone who has a brain can think, but that's true only in the loosest sense of the word. Having a brain doesn't mean you know how to think, any more than having fingers means you know how to play the violin. When most people say they're thinking, they're actually just doing a bit of intricate feeling. They feel like they are thinking because there's stuff going on in their noggins. Neurons are firing, mental imagery is whizzing around, they're remembering things and making associations, none of which qualifies as proper thinking. At least not in the sense of that singular ability that sets humans apart from the rest of the animal kingdom. Mental rigor that is predicated upon reason, logic, and critical analysis. Not to mention genuine introspection and humble self-evaluation. Thinking encompasses all these things and more. Observation, to be sure, but also imagination and stretching your mind to accommodate conclusions you might very much prefer to avoid. Proper thinking is hard, and costly. It demands courage and a willingness to deny yourself immediate gratification. It also often means suffering the slings and arrows of the squeamish, who are all too eager to sacrifice future well-being in order to dodge any temporary unpleasantness, and who prioritize earnest intentions over real-world results. Unabashedly, they will protest that any of your well-reasoned decisions that permit degrees of conflict or discomfort, let alone real pain, are evidence of nothing more than a cold, cold heart. "Where's your compassion?" they'll scream. "Being uncomfortable isn't nice. How can you be so mean?" The price of maturity. But a price worth paying, because life is not at all what popular culture led us to believe as kids. Charting a course with emotions at the wheel can yield some short-term benefits, but ultimately it is a recipe for chaos, short-lived relationships, and long-term misery. Not that a commitment to reason is a cure-all. Life is still life. Bad luck is still a thing. So are other people and their bad decisions that can occasionally engulf you. Thinking is not a magical sword or shield, and yet it does render profound and enduring rewards, not the least of which is sparing yourself needless feelings of regret on account of stupid mistakes that could have been avoided with a little forethought. Man, I feel like I could talk about this subject for hours, but experience has taught me that sometimes less is more, so I think I'll leave it there for now. I'm Marcus McGregor. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. If you'd like to subscribe, go for it. Just remember that you won't be shown new videos when they post unless you also click the notification bell.